Hi everyone, I'm here today to do a book review. Really more of a kind of like a spontaneous reaction to a book that I just read. I just finished it a couple minutes ago, and I wanted to record a review right away, even though I had a couple other things I wanted to record too. And that is on the book to do Insurgent by Veronica Roth, which is the sequel to Divergent and the second in a trilogy. Third one is, who knows what it's going to be called. They have not released the title yet. Before I start the review, I always like to talk about the cover a little bit, so I might as well do that. I am really not a fan of the Divergent cover. A lot of people like it, but I feel like it's ugly. This one you can barely see because of the light, and if I can tilt it like that. Just the gray and the blue, it looks very dark and damp. It looks like it's a rainy day or something. This one too, I like this one a lot better, and I like the symbol better, but in this green there's a lot of gray, and it's I don't know, it's not very pretty, but overall this is a big improvement over the Divergent cover. Anyway, I read this book in less than a day. The majority, I started it yesterday, but I read only a few chapters because I didn't have time. The majority of it, and it's about 525 pages, I think, pretty long. The majority of it I read today, it's 3:35 right now, and I started it, well, no, I had read a little bit earlier. So I read the majority of it, starting at noon. So in 3.5 hours, I read probably about, I don't know how much I got through earlier. Let's say 1/3. So I read 2/3 of it in the last 3.5 hours. I just could not put it down. It was such a page turner. But anyway, I'm still my mind and body is still dealing with it. So the aftermath hasn't quite settled in yet. Anyway, there probably will be spoilers for Divergent, so what are you doing watching this video if you haven't read the first one? Go away. Anywho, this picks up where Divergent left off, with the characters are going to the Amity compound to seek shelter, and there's a lot of new things being revealed in here. I don't know what to say without spoiling it. I was hesitant about this book because the first reviews that I read or watched on YouTube were all very positive, so that was geared me up, and I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be great because I've been looking forward to it for such a long time. I loved Divergent, and I just could not wait for this one. Then the last week or so after the book actually came out, I started seeing a lot more negative opinions, like how much of a letdown it was, and how the characters, especially 4, was just not acting good in this, and they didn't like him anymore, and it wasn't good, and it wasn't as good, and also just wasn't good in itself, and I was scared. I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be bad, and I'm like, why? I was so looking forward to this. Am I wasting my time? Is it gonna be a letdown? But I read it, and the short answer is no. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. 5 out of 5. Definitely, there were points in here where, especially Tris, it reminded me a lot of, let me just say, of Mockingjay. I think was the book that kept coming to my mind, and I've never done a video or anything on Mockingjay or the Hunger Games series, really, aside from the movie. But Mockingjay was definitely my least favorite in that trilogy, and it was definitely a letdown to me after, the first 2 books. I was expecting so much more out of the conclusion, and I really didn't get everything I wanted. That was a bit anticlimactic, and Katniss was just blah, blah, blah. But this definitely reminded me a lot of that. Specifically, I just kept thinking how Tris's behavior in this one was very frustrating at times, reminded me a lot of Katniss. And really, because I think they're both dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder after what happened in, you know, the events of the previous books of the respective series. And Tris in this one was definitely dealing with PTSD, like especially not just all the trauma she went through, but mainly shooting her friend in the end of Divergent. And it was definitely an emotional roller coaster because I really loved Tris in the first book. I just thought, you know, she was such a dynamic character, which is what I really like. She was quite weak in the beginning, but she grew and developed over the course of the book, which I was like, yay! I love character development. And then this one, I was just like, oh my god, is she turning into Katniss, and am I going to end up hating her? And I had heard comments about Thor, like someone said, compared him to Edward Cullen, and said he was just acting horribly. And definitely in this one, their relationship was an emotional roller coaster. Like, us and down like this, they were having problems, like trusting each other, arguing, and all this. It was crap after the crap they went through. It was all crap that they had to deal with. And it was definitely, my emotions were like, what? Oh, this is good. Oh, right here. Oh no, but that's bad. I don't like that. Oh, and it definitely, I was on edge reading it. I was so nervous. Like, there were points I could feel physically, like, as the adrenaline, I guess, going through me just from reading a book. Like, oh my god, especially at the end, like, paging through it. Oh my god, what's happening next? I can't stop. I have to keep reading it. I could not put it down. And I thought it was amazing that the book was able to elicit such a strong response from me, and did not think it was anticlimactic at all. So 5 out of 5 stars, by the way, for Insurgent. There were a lot of characters to keep track of. There were points where I kind of forgot who was who. But what I really like about this series, I think, is that there's no one, you know, big bad guy. I mean, there's Janine, whatever her name is, the erudite leader. But really, through reading this book, you kind of see that everything is shades of gray, and every character has so many layers. There's no, like, you find out things about some people, like bad people, who are redeemed in some ways. You know, not saying that they fully turn over to the good side, but you see a different side to them, and you find out there's more than what you previously thought. And also, other characters who are good characters have not so nice aspects about them too. And that was one of my favorite parts about reading this, just discovering more about people as I read. And I just really liked that, like the character development, that it was nothing, it wasn't one-dimensional, you know, like good guy, bad guy, although there were some generalizations. I'm like, oh, okay, everybody was human, and everybody was flawed, some more than others, but that was probably one of my favorite aspects. Also, it was just not quite non-stop action, but almost. It was unputdownable is one of my favorite adjectives for books. Like, when I just cannot bring myself to put a book down because I'm so emotionally invested in it. Like, 9 times out of 10, I end up giving that book a full 5 out of 5 star rating, because that's what I like to have when I read a book. And I've been rambling on for like almost 10 minutes. I thought it was amazing, and I love Insurgent. I cannot wait for the last one. It's Detergent, if you go by Veronica Roth Tumblr. Oh, I cannot wait for the conclusion to this. I can't believe I have to wait like another year. I'm gonna stop now before I ramble on because I have other videos to do, but I'll see you guys later.